Our tour of the city was a pleasant distraction. I feel more than ready now to tackle the challenges of the day. The Forum is intent on concealing its intentions, then a cursory investigation will avail us little, I suspect. We will need to dig deeper, and with the greatest of care. I still don't understand how the vote could be unanimous. What could possibly convince them all to turn their backs on Eorzea? The process by which forum members are elected is fair and equitable. Neither wealth nor social standing offers any advantages to the prospect candidate. But fairly elected or not, Master Matoya still found them all to be insufferable. So it's back to Thavnir. Had I known earlier, I would have considered more suitable attire. Though I have read much on the subject of Rodzat Han, this visit shall be my first. 'Twill be interesting to see how the Hennish mean to contend with the Tower, different as their magical and technological disciplines are. Alright, I'll deal with you guys later. Hitting the books. An unsettling change has come over Sharlayan, but together we will divine the underlying cause of the Forum's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the counselors directly is fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge. Which is why I began scouring Sharlayan's archive of historical records for any hint of a connection to the final days. Suffice it to say that progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day. But now that I have this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene outside Numenor, shall we? Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archives to the western edges of the woods. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of the Numenor, Sharlayan's grandest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of the Numenor extend deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the Great Google Library pale in comparison to the Numenor's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Sharlayan is free to enter and pursue its shelves, well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded to access certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched Y'shtola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alize and Alphino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books with touch upon Charlian history and foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone branches over there once they've found some promising tomes. Happy reading! Alright. Yep, it does go down a ways. Brightly colored books. Long, long ago, on an island in the northern sea, there lived a red man by the name of Nyenkref. Nyenkref was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Nyenkref's crew hauled them aboard his ark. But the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached them, threatening to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, Nyenkref wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship safely atop Abelathia's spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled to the air alongside them, but it was not long before disputes over a dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Nyenkref gathered to him his crew and his grateful passengers, and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast, where they built a new ship, intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed on a beach of an island, and settled upon that very spot. The settlement prospered and grew, and in time became the city of Charlian, where we live to this day. You can actually still see that ship up in the peaks. It's that big brown and green ship. I can only imagine that has to be the one they're talking about. Notes of old, the colony. Many years ago, on the banks of the Thaliac and Drenvanian hinterlands, a Charlian colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structural services. As rumors spread of growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of Charlians. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become a flourishing town as an official Charlian colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Charlian, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Charlian inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Great Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Ildeshire. Chapters go on to introduce the most prominent features of Ildeshire. This book does not appear to contain additional information on the Forum, or cover the history of Charlian's motherland in greater detail. This is a growing city. In the years which followed the founding of Charlian, civic policy of other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but 201 of the Sixth Astral Era was ultimately decreed that Sharlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of nationwide vote. Thus was the form as we know it today conceived and created. Alright, that's 2. To the heavens. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries contained therein? I speak not shifting cloud patterns, but the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think the dome above us to be a finite space. Yet amongst the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's depiction of boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. Alas, this heavenly sea remains an unreachable, unknowable destination. There are few indeed who can explain in satisfactory detail why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was technologists of Alec who came closest to understanding the laws which govern the starry abyss. It was they who launched Dalamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you that the eternal constellations were arranged differently in distant past, that their positions continue to shift almost imperceptibly, but measurably as we journey into the future? Should it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? Forever 20 summers. My beloved seekers of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed the rest of your body as it should? I, too, once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophy study, I had an epiphany. For all the wonder, the world's mysteries that drove us to reckless abandon, we have so very few years of life in which to achieve our goals. Thus do I share with you this mantra: I am forever 20 summers young. The number itself is unimportant, but you could be 19, or 23, or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful, healthy living, will you extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths you pursue. In the pages to follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from a biological, aetherological, and arcane viewpoint. Stewards of Wisdom. During the chaos of the Sixth Umbral Calamity, Archaeon Yenkref, founder of Sharlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war, and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Sharlayans took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon the foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise could be bartered for wealth in coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was that, no matter the trials and tribulation of the age, the citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founders' teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew the tools of war, and with knowledge deliver the world. Alright, time to check out. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alphino and Kral should be also along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archaeon stacks mentioned the final day specifically, so we have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. It would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate, plenty of comfortable places to read, and ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were to return to Charlian, we were not to be allowed access to the threshold. Allowed to cross the threshold. A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. What of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Ah, well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Charlian, yes, but I was born rather further away. Yay! Give me this music while Elite talks about this. In the southern reaches of Ilsabard, in fact, for generations my people have dwelt in Corvos, a coastal region opposite the island of Thafnir. The Alligans founded the city in that fertile land, and by ship brought in subjugated tribes of Makote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign, and when the Fifth Calamity froze the sea solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose that they might prevent the remnants of Allagan technology from being misused. Isn't Corvus under Garlean rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as the case for most imperial provinces, but Garlemald renamed the region Locus Amonis. I don't think I've heard that before. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of the illustrious imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allagan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices have been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allagan eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliable as it once had. Fear eventually tipped the scales, and a decision was made to bury our ties to the knowledge of the traditions of Allig. As the last child born with the Allagan eye, I was given to the custody of friends and the students of Baldesion, who had me registered as a Charlian citizen. I never considered. Forgive me. It was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by the Archon Louisoix, was he not? Stories of adopted wives and rescued orphans are more common among Charlians than you might think. Yet regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient perspicacity, we outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. 'Tis exactly why I have such a love for this country, and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. Here. Another good reason to get to the bottom of the Forum's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Ala. More company should be arriving any moment now. Yay, a nice little bit of Graha lore there. We've returned with our selections, although I must say the pickings were quite slim indeed. Mistress Krall has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, and more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we will be looking into research papers on the umbral calamities, as well as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events in Amuro firsthand. And I fear I may be overlooking critical details. My thanks. Now where to begin? First things first. What kind of phenomenon did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? Creation magics. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion, meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might have had something substantial to analyze. To the best of our knowledge, however, those techniques were... Oh, excuse me 1 second. Hello? I thought my work was calling me. Where was I? However, those techniques were not preserved or passed on. Ystrola surmises that the closest known magic is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Scions. Was there aught else note which heralded the approach of the final days? Terrastar was engulfed by disaster all at once. It began with the keening sound from the land itself. Ah yes, the Emiratan spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems that each and every one of the catastrophes was preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded all across the star, and not even Emirat itself was spared. So the ground was crying out, you say, to be considered the Harbinger of Doom. It must have been quite distinctive, probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with one of Numenon's mammoths and ask after any books which make mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiark. Yes. With a little bit serving out as his heart, he gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We do not know exactly how Zodiark brought salvation to the star, only that his godlike will only that by his godlike will were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls they intended to render unto Zodiark. A trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Vana and her fellows not manifested their opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telepharoi truly mean when they speak of the bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with those towers of theirs, is forcing people to summon primals a kind of catalyst. Are they attempting to mirror the conditions of, say, unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech, a convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash? But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return our attention to the forum, shall we? We should keep an eye out for Y'shtola, but 'tis time we began studying these research papers. What else do I know of Corvos? Precious little, I'm afraid. I've not returned since Master Gala first brought me here. I can tell you that Corvosi rebels still seek to slip the yoke of their imperial masters, though the fighting is far less fierce than it once was. Oh, and they have carpets. Flying carpets! The legends are quite extraordinary. Grahas from a land of flying carpets. Amazing. There are others better suited for poring over old history books, so I thought I'd try my luck at more recent events. If I can find anything to better inform the forum's baffling behavior. There you are. I'm the last person, am I? Well, my extended search of the Archaeon stacks produced one or two possible useful books, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianger learned of the source's reflections from the Garan oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, the tome was deemed apocrypha, and sealed away in the Great Google Library. It is even less likely that knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would be left sitting on a shelf for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason that my colleagues, be they archons or consulars, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet when you confronted Master Fortuno with knowledge of the Telepharoi and their machinations, he scoffed at the suggestion that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us. Which only supports the conclusion, whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behavior, it is kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty, whether they contain mention of the final days or no, these books could hold something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. You labor for what feels like an age as your Y'shtola research assistant. Your efforts to gain Kahatia's attention go unnoticed. He appears to be lost in his reading. I found not of interest so far. I think Y'shtola might be right about not getting up our hopes. Thank you for your help, but I think I can manage the rest without your assistance. If I were you, I'd steal a few quiet moments for myself. Oh dear, you look exhausted. But what about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subjects mentioned? When the day was well spent, should you wish to read them again, a mammoth at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For a moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with our research for quite some time. Ready for a tea break, Allah? I know I am. Honestly, my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around for a bit. You know the last stand down in the harbor, don't you? Come meet me near the outside tables, and I'll treat you to their coffee. It's quite good. Over there, so 8th right. I didn't attune to that? Damn it. As busy as ever, I see. How very Charlian that no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete with our customers. Actually, this crowd gives me an idea. Before we place an order, why don't we ask a few questions to gauge the mood of the city? I'm interested to hear what the average citizen has to say about the Telephoroi. We might even learn something new. Worth a try, don't you think? Jose is now accompanying you. Keep her at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. Yeah. Let's go! Someone here at the cafe should be willing to speak with us. Let's ask around. Yes, I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Pray excuse the interruption, but we were hoping you might share your thoughts on the Telephoroi and the unconscionable plans. My goodness, if it isn't young Miss Livier. My apologies, but I work in the offices of the Forum. If word reached Master Fortuno that I was helping you. I see. We're sorry to have bothered you. Are Alphino and Alzir basically Charlian royalty? Living in the biggest fucking house? But now they're just... This is weird. Is Alla like the only person who doesn't come from like a super wealthy family? What is it? Can a man not enjoy a moment of private respite? If you're looking to share a table, then I respectfully request you look elsewhere. You misunderstand, sir. We simply were wondering if you knew of the Telephoroi. These enemies of peace have promised the end of all we hold dear. Wait, you're that House Levier girl, aren't you? And this man with you is obviously a foreigner. I've heard you were disowned for helping outsiders indulge their barbaric whims, and here you are giving truth to the rumor. I'll thank you to leave me be. I've naught to say to the likes of you. Well, I must apologize. 'Twas foolish of me to expect an ounce of civility from one so enlightened. What an asshole. Ah, the man with the unfortunate name. Welcome, sir. What can I offer you today? Wait, is that Mistress Alize I see there? My word, how long has it been? Far too long. Meet Dick. Fuck. Meet Dickon, the owner of the Last Stand. I used to frequent his cafe on occasion, in between lessons at the studium. It seems like an age ago now. I remember hearing that you and Master Alphino had set sail for Eorzea, and then you never came back. Lately, it's been gossip about your father's disowning the pair of you. Everything all right at home? It's complicated, and I hadn't expected complete strangers to be so familiar with our situation, quite frankly, quite so quickly. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. Well, it is House Levier. No matter how discreet Master Fortuneau may have been, news of your family's doings never stays secret for long. Things being that what they are, what brings you back to the city now after all this time? We have questions and only Charlian has the answers. Tell me, Master Dickon, have you heard of anything about an apocalypse called the Final Days? What? Like the end of the world? Nothing like that, I'm afraid. And that's what you're here to find? Information on this apocalypse? Yes, whatever we can learn. Unfortunately, your patrons appear to be unwilling to speak with me. I wish there was more I could do to help. But maybe there is. You're a visitor to Charlian, aren't you? Then few will know your face. You should be able to pass off as a server with none the wiser. We just finished preparing a few orders. Strike up some friendly conversation while you're setting down the food, and you might just get the answers you're looking for. Not a bad idea. I hate to ask, but what do you think? That's the spirit. Pay attention now, and I'll explain where each of these dishes needs to go. The tea set is for the chatty group sitting by the water's edge. The omelet is for the one of our regulars, a Highlander by the name of Gisla. She's sitting at an outside table with friends. Behind them, you should find a Mikote gentleman. He's ordered the oven-baked lobster. Got all that? If you're not sure, just ask me and I'll explain. Good luck. Time to test my memory. Alright. A group down by the water. Tea set. Oh, my tea set. Lovely, thank you. The telephone... Who? I'm sorry, I've never heard of them. Or their final days. My friends and I are somewhat uninformed when it comes to current events. Now, if you wanted to hear about ritual arcane practices of the Sixth Astral Era, common or esoteric, I'd be happy to talk your ear off. The citizens don't know shit. Ah, finally. 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's dig in. No time to waste. The Telephoroi? Ah, yes. I remember seeing the name in the latest Gazette. That and some grand claim about the end of days. Same old senseless warmongering. When will these fools grow tired of spilling each other's blood? Best stay out of it, as I say. The Forum made the right choice. I fully support our decision to remain neutral. At last, the oven-baked lobster is mine. You have no idea how long I've scrimped and saved and suffered to afford this heavenly dish. Final days? This is the first I've heard of it. Although that would explain why my friends have been rushed off his feet. It must be a busy time to be a gleaner. You don't know what a gleaner is? They're collectors of sort. Travel the world procuring things that we haven't got here in Charlian. Priceless books, unusual live specimens, and so forth. So named for those who trail after the reapers in the fields. picking up every grain which was missed. Aye. By all accounts, gleaning is most meticulous and demanding profession. If these Telephoroi make good on their audacious threats, then many uncatalogued rarities could be lost forever. Why else would the cleaners be buzzing around in such a busy frenzy? Watch the harbor and you'll see what I mean. They're carting loads in from the docks all day. It's never been this hectic before, not like this. Any trouble with the customers? Were you able to get anyone talking? Interesting. They seem unaware of the final days, aside from whatever vague news the Conspinsmen are printing. Even Decon had nothing to offer, and he's the best source of gossip in the city. The Forum does have his secret knowledge. If the Forum does have secret knowledge, then they've done an impressive job of ensuring no one whispers in the wrong ear. In any case, thank you for playing the part so well. Here, the cup of coffee I promised. Well, let's enjoy our drink somewhere else, shall we? Maybe behind the peristyle? Away from the gossips and their wagging tongues. Yes, this should do nicely. Out of the wind and out of sight. This is some new music.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Charlian? Graham said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been. How being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently.
I'm not so sure about that.
They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos.
Oh, it's a well-known thing.
A vast complex beneath the island. Charlian is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the Forum. If the appearance of the Telephoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
Think I'm gonna double down on my theory. They know and they're trying to hoard as much shit as they can before shit goes south. Fuck the rest of the world, we'll be safe in our little bubble. Oh, it's snowing. Hi. I didn't think it would snow here. Huh. Well, we are in the north, I guess. Labyrinthine descent. We should tell the others what we've learned about the Gleaners. Go on ahead to Numenon, and I'll join you in a moment. Mr. Deacon will want his cup back. I can hear people on Twitter and Etsy making those cups and getting ready to sell them. I like feel it in my soul. Welcome back, Ala. Been for a walk and cleared your head, have you? Not exactly. We did some impromptu investigating and turned up information on the Gleaners. It makes sense. The Gleaners take their requests directly from institutions and bureaucrats. But as you say, they ultimately answer to the Forum. A sudden and significant increase in Gleaner traffic and in cargo certainly gives the impression of an overreaching plan being put into motion. Let us see what this theory can bring from the facts. As Yustola observed earlier, Numenon's archives appear to contain no information concerning the final days. Coupled with Ala and Alize learned at the last stand, we can be reasonably sure that most Sharlayans know nothing of that particular period of ancient history. Yet my father and his colleagues are not only familiar with the final days, but are also somehow certain that the destruction being perpetrated by the Telephoroi is wholly unlike these apocalyptic events. Moreover, the Forum's claims to be so occupied by duty of such pressing importance that they saw fit to unanimously deny Eorzea's request for aid. And now the Gleaners, official agents of the state, have been mobilized of an unprecedented scale. I do not think it's a stretch to conclude that the Gleaner activities are in service to the Forum's secretive ends. In which case, our next course of action seems obvious. We visit Labyrinthos and assess the situation for ourselves. If we were lucky, the Gleaners will be far more receptive to our questions. And, what should we expect in there? Anything would be better than burying my head in another dusty book. I understand not everyone is a studious type. Consider this a welcome change of pace, then. As for myself, there are a few more subjects I should like to research. I may join you later, but feel free to leave behind your borrowed books and be on your way. I'll see to it that each is returned to its proper place. That would be a great help. Thank you, Raha. Let's head downstairs over there, and I'll show you where the entrance is. Watch your step in Labyrinthos. It's rather more perilous than a simple storehouse, although that will likely make the experience all the more attractive to an adventurer like you. Alright, Graha. Be safe. Stay warm. It's cold out here. Okay. Bye. I love you! Huh. Ready? Labyrinthos is not too far from here, but you may feel a bit disorientated. I'll take the lead, so stay close. Oh man, I don't have a follow option. It's pleasant here amongst the trees. But we really should move along. You're the one moving slowly, Alize, come on. Oh, look at this guy. How many people are just walking in increments at a time? Oh, okay. Keep to the path straight ahead. Cross this bridge. Up here. The rostra. Not that far. Not far now. Here we are. Here we are. Through this door and down the stairs. You did remember to attune to the shard back there, didn't you? It will make your life much easier if you need to come back in a hurry. Otherwise, we should keep moving. You didn't take the wrong turn in the rostra there, did you? I doubt the Forum would take kindly to you barging into a private session. I've not been to Labyrinthos in the longest time. Even as a student, my visits were few and far between. How did the Forum learn of the final days, and exactly how much do they know? More to the point, what do they tend to do about it? Hopefully the answer to at least one of those questions lies below. We're all here now, yes? I've taken the liberty of securing permission for our group's descent. Right, everyone onto the lift. Down we go. It rains in here.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge, buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Labyrinthos.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Hydaelyn itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Cryo? You're getting an echo, but I'm not?
Did you call to me just now?
No.
No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Oh boy. Oh boy, I'm sure nothing will go wrong with that. I really hope. I didn't think we'd have weather down here. I wanted to see the Game of Thrones sun. The footage they showed off of this dome really didn't do it justice. It's really pretty, actually. You want to know what I'm doing? Hauling books and ore and fauna. If it needs hauling, I haul it. Every decade or so, they take stock in Labyrinthos, you know, sort of tidy up the inventory. Never seen an operation like this before, though. They just did one a few summers ago, even. Then, with no warning at all, this mess gets dropped on our laps. Orders from High, damned if I know the reason. Could be that they're changing the layout, eh? Preparing for the next big expansion. Let me think. The reseeds should be item 1058. Common seeds 1059. Snurbleberry 1060. Were they 1061? Ah, my head feels like it's stuffed with moko grass. One more loads to take than carry in. Why do all of this at once and risk mixing it up? What if someone mistakes the Carthan carrots for the Garabonian carrots? What then? The carrots! My cabbages! Oh, it's a boy! Look at the boy! Aaronville. Just gonna pet. Thank you for existing. I love you. You're here to help or give me more headaches, because you don't have the look of a gleaner, and I'm in no mood for idle chatter. One of my colleagues was so exhausted he took a tumble and crashed into a pile of crates. Now I have a pack of marmots running loose. Any luck, Alla? What tales did the gleaners have to tell? So this grand operation began without warning. For every item they bring in, they're sending more inventory somewhere else. No one explained the haggard faces I've been seeing. We were right. The Forum is definitely up to something, and they're turning Labyrinthite down in the process. Oh, it's all the way over there. We would do well to learn more of what specifically the Gleaners are being tasked to do. as well as who has tasked them to do it. If you're game, Allah, I have an idea. Didn't one of the gleaners you questioned say something about escaped marmots? Perhaps if you were to help him capture said creatures, he might be inclined towards a more friendly and enlightening conversation. In the meantime, I will turn my charms open upon this gleaner here. We can compare notes afterwards. Happy hunting! Working with the bunny boy. You wish to help me to find the marmots? I have nothing suitable to pay you for your services, but if you're offering out of the goodness of your heart, I'd be more than welcome. I'd welcome the assistance. The name is Erenvel, friend, specialist in a collective of live specimens. That said, capture of these Nagyan marmots is a trial I have no desire to repeat. Grizzled mice, they call them. For mercy, there are no other marmot species on this tier at present, so there should be no mistaking our little fuses. If you happen to catch any, stuff them in this sack. Gently, of course. Where to begin, you wonder? I've not seen any scampering around here, so you'll need to widen our search into the surrounding forest. Be on your guard. There are beasts out there that won't hesitate to prey on the marmot, or you. I'll search the trees to the west. The eastern part of the forest is all yours. Good luck. We got some killing to do. Has there always been a sound effect for when block triggers? Alright, little mouse. Hey! Get back here. Alright, little one. Get in this bag. How did you fare? I tracked down 3 of the pack, which leaves 1 unaccounted for. Ah, there's the odd marmot out. Wait here a moment while I put our friends in a holding cage. Thankfully, the marmots seem to be unharmed. They've held up well in the isolation, but it's much too soon to release them into the habitat. It's a good thing we were able to recapture them so swiftly. You have my thanks. Why, the authority in charge of Labyrinthos, now and in perpetuity. The same officials who have had us working day and night of late. The honorable members of the Forum. Who else? Suitable for consumption and easy to... Those were 2 conditions I was given for the stock. I was instructed to procure. I don't know what the Forum has planned for these creatures, but at the very least, I doubt they'll be served for dinner today or tomorrow. Hey, Vala? Is this a gleaner you mentioned? The one who was looking for the lost marmots? Interesting company you keep, friend. Who are you folk, anyway? I'm Kryal, a student of the Baldessian. These others are my associates. Truth be told, the Forum's decisions of late have not sat entirely well with us. That is why we've made a descent into Labyrinthos. We hoped that by seeing those decisions put into action, we might more fully understand their reasoning. Wise and practical, never hurts to try and gain a broader perspective, does it? Anyway, duty calls. Other animals to capture and enclosures to empty. Once again, I'm sorry that I can't offer you more for your services. Did you learn anything new from your friend there? So we've confirmed that the orders for the ambitious operation did indeed come directly from the Forum. However, the Gleaners have not been informed of its purpose. I'd say that fits with everything we've heard thus far. We also discovered when the operation was begun, the Forum contacted the Gleaners' guild ship and put their people to this great work some 4 days after the Telephoroi made their chilling declaration. As seasoned travelers, the Gleaners keep abreast of the news from every corner of the world out of necessity. Thus I am inclined to trust that their calendar of events is accurate. Altogether, it gives the distinct impression that this undertaking was sudden and unexpected development. Yet I find it hard to believe that such comprehensive restructuring of Labyrinthos and its archives could have been planned in so brief a window. Nay, this plan was long in the making. They were but waiting for the right time to put it into effect. The Telephoroi's declaration was set all in motion. It seems likely, but let us not leap to conclusions just yet. I'm leaping to some conclusions here. For the moment, I suggest that we conduct a wider investigation of Labyrinthos. The more facilities we visit, the more pieces of the puzzle we stand to find. In that case, how about we head to the Archaeon? From there, we can reach the lower... Alright, Kryle, come on, what's up? Kryle, what's wrong? I'm fine, truly. The sudden descent has left me a bit of a headache, that's all. Nothing that will stop me from soldiering on. Let's be about it then. At least allow me to take the lead. I'm fairly certain I remember the way to the Archaeon. We follow the path east through the forest where you were chasing after that mouse, or marmot, was it? Anyway, 'tis the trolls you need to watch out for. Is she hearing the keening? Is that what's going on? This is the foremost material archive in Charlian. I should love to explore its treasure shelves by shelf, but I fear I have little time for such indulgences. Were you caught in the mist on your way here? The sprayer keep the air humid, so that the habitat feels as close as possible to natural forest. Don't worry about me. I'm hale and healthy. In fact, I'm beginning to suspect that. Nay, let's discuss this later. The investigation demands our undivided attention. Behold the Archaeon. As Numenon serves as Charlian's literary archive, so does this structure house the city's wealth of material data. The architecture, too, is similar. This building you see is merely the upper entrance, an access point to the vaults carved into the cliffside. Within those vast rooms are stored countless samples of specimens, as well as the detailed records which describe them. In manner of speaking, the Archaeon contains a physical history of Charlian's unwavering dedication to the accumulation of knowledge. Well, I'm going to take a break here. Back in a bit. Okay. We're back in. So, I had a bit of a panic attack because there was a little trick you could do where if you wanted to go AFK for a bit, you could bring up your HUD editor and that would keep you from getting kicked out. And that doesn't work anymore. So I got kicked out, and I'm like, oh fuck, 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 oh fuck. I rushed to scramble and get back on. And thankfully, only 22 people in queue. So, my earlier hypothesis of this calming down once everybody had to go to work proved true. Only going from 3,200 to 22 people in queue is quite drastic. Let's go. Well, we won't learn anything of value standing out here. Let us proceed into the main building and speak with the custodian. Greetings. We are here to pursue the Archaeon's vaults. Peruse. Peruse? You are clearly not gleaners, then. Might I ask your affiliation? We belong to the students of Baldessian, but is that relevant? I was given to believe that the vaults, those open to the public at least, were open to the public. Ordinarily, yes, that would be the case. At present, however, access is restricted. Only persons directly involved in the reorganization efforts are permitted to enter. Not us, then. I suppose we had better move along into another facility. This building has a lift which connects to the middle tier, yes? Might we at least make use of that? That service has also been suspended, I'm afraid. For the time being, priority has been given over to the convenience of inventory. Well, so this is as far as we can go. I apologize for the inconvenience. Please come again after the restructuring operation is concluded. By the time it will be too late. We're so close to getting answers. We need to rethink our approach. Let us step outside for a moment, shall we? Students of Baldessian, huh? Forms must be wary of exposure indeed to so heavily restrict use of public institutions. If they're going to close off facilities, then they ought to announce it. The students must be furious. Labyrinthos is constructed in the shape of a motor. The upper layer is called the outer circuit, and the medial circuit is the one tier below us. We are at an impasse. As we have no other leads, I should like to peruse this one further. But I doubt that our stone-faced custodian will be swayed by a heartfelt pleas. We must seek another means of access to the lower levels. It is likely that people in this area are involved with restructuring in one way or another. If we were to ingratiate ourselves, they might allow us to accompany them on the lift. Let us ask around. Surely someone is in need of a few strong backs to lighten the load. Taking the lift? Oh no, we're just students. They won't let us into the Archaeon even though we found... Actually, we have no idea what it is we found. There's no record of such a creature anywhere. But it was wandering around Tranquility, so we thought to donate it to the vaults. Oddest little squeal, don't you think? Anyway, I suppose we'll have to take care of it until the Archaeon is open again. Interesting. What's that? Take you down the lift with me. Sorry, but not a chance. I've been up and down all day. Only now have I finally found a spare moment to rest. I did see a gleaner fellow heading out the gate there, though, shouldering a large pack, engaged in some manner of task. Maybe he'll be headed down below. He's done with whatever he's doing. Anvil again. Quiet. You'll frighten it away. Oh, it's you again. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm in the middle of another task. The Cloudkin need to capture its the Cloudkin I need it to capture is close, very close. Wish to help me with this too. You spend your time in unusual ways, my friend. Still, 2 hunters is generally better than 1. Very well. The canal here is a common gathering spot for birds of all kind, but the one I'm after today is the hornbill. Its feathers are green, and its cry a distinctive caw. Single it out and shoot it with the sleeping dart. The effects are short-lived, so I'll lie in wait down in the riverbank to claim our quarry. Be sure to hit the right one. Search your surroundings for the hornbill. Yep. Gotcha. He's so proud of himself.
A fair shot.
Oh wow, he's voiced.
Nicely done. Let me truss this one up and I'll make my way over to you.
He has that Viera accent. Whatever accent that is.
There you are. Any new revelations?
So you met with that gleaner again, this time to capture a hornbill. I understand catching and bringing in creatures from the outside, but what's the point of chasing after ones already here?
Oh, it's a simple thing, really. Occasionally, we remove specimens no longer needed for study, or those we've had difficulty raising. But we can't simply turn them loose. Safely returning such creatures to their native habitats is another facet of a gleaner's duties. But not in this case, I'm afraid. I've been asked to bring the bird below.
The restricted section in the lower levels of Labyrinthos. Open only to a select few researchers hand-picked by the Forum. The projects down there are the subject of rumor and hearsay. Forbidden magics. Advanced technologies that can never be allowed to fall into outside hands. Even Archons are not privy to the truth. Those who are, the researchers involved in this secretive work, are not permitted to walk freely in the city, and are instead required to live in isolated quarters.
What could a facility subject to such strict security protocols possibly need with a hornbill? An experiment?
Possibly. I wasn't afforded an explanation. But judging by the requisition list given to me and my colleagues, I doubt it's for any kind of advanced research. I'd be more inclined to believe we were making preparations to migrate to the south. Mericidia or thereabouts.
What? Why would you say that?
Much of the flora and fauna we were asked to procure could serve as reliable sources of sustenance. They're comparatively hardy species, too, able to endure harsh climates. And among them are specimens known to be effective in improving soil quality and purifying water.
When you put it that way, migration does sound like a reasonable assumption.
That's all it is, though. An assumption. Through our tasks, we gleaners glimpse only bits and pieces of the Forum's plans. Our prime concern is that our requisitions, be they living or otherwise, are properly preserved for the knowledge of future generations. Now, I really must be going. I regret that I cannot reward you as you deserve.
Perhaps you might reward us after a fashion, then. It is imperative that we reach the lower levels. And seeing as you are already set to descend with your assigned mayhap we could accompany you as your assistants.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. Once the animals have been prepared for transport, we send them down separately via the lift. I will, of course, follow after to make my report, but I can hardly pass you off as porters when there's nothing left to carry.
Indeed. Pray forget I said anything.
How do you feel about climbing? If you've strength and the courage to brave it, then there is another way down. This
Jump
path
puzzles?
leads to the 33rd facet, a mine shaft excavated during one of our expansions of Labyrinthos. While I cannot guarantee that the passage is safe to traverse, it should provide access to the medial circuit below.
I never even knew such a place existed. Thank you. This is the perfect solution.
You're quite welcome, but consider yourselves warned. If the going proves too treacherous, you do well to turn back.
Thank you, Aaronville. I love you.
Well, turning back is hardly an option, not when we've come this far. Let's go and take a look at this mine shaft.
Boy. Down a creepy mine shaft we go. Ominous. The medial circuit which Aaronville mentioned is the tier directly below us. Unlike the lowest level of Labyrinthos, with its rigid security, one can usually roam the middle layer quite freely. Let us see what we might find. I never would have noticed this cave on my own. Thank the scholar that Aaronville knew of it, and that you were there to persuade him to share. I took a quick peek inside, but it's awfully dark in there. This must be it, the entrance to the mineshaft. 'Tis faint, but I hear something moving within. Creatures homed there by the researchers, you think? Well, slavering beasts aside, we will need to watch our footing. We should tighten our straps and such before we continue. Assuming everyone's tightened their straps and checked their gear, then I say we head on in. Given the terrain ahead, though, it might be wise to leave some distance between us. We won't be wanting stumbling over each other if it comes to a fight. Take it slow and don't forget to check your surroundings from time to time. We can meet up at the other end of the tunnel. That mineshaft was infested with mithril cash. Some sort of research project, I wonder? I suppose they are not a most unusual creature. Why do they develop such a long limbs when all they do is shuffle about narrow tunnels? I was being careful, I swear. The slope was steeper than I thought, and I lost my footing for a moment, that's all. I'm not injured, if you don't count my pride. Allah, did you know Kryl almost took a tumble back there? She can't possibly still be dizzy from the lift. Everyone seems to have made it through without incident, nothing of consequence at least, and as promised, the tunnel has delivered us onto the medial circuit. As I recall, this tier was where they kept wide variety of samples of agricultural production. If Aaronville's assumptions hold true, that specimens are being collected in preparation for great migration. Then we should see evidence of such plans in the area's research projects. Let's follow the path to the nearest farming facility and see what we see. Grapes. The most polygonal grapes you'll ever see. Aha! Now I know where we are. This is Muriel Agronomics. Labyrinthos is a host to a wide variety of vegetation, which allows us to conduct studies on cultivation methods utilized in foreign lands. And it is this facility which coordinates and oversees those efforts. The fruits of their research go to feed those colleagues, or so I hear. More notable successes might make it to the Agora. Foods so exotic you'd be hard-pressed to guess their origin, let alone how they might taste. Indeed, mystery vegetables without a name, only a list of nutritional benefits scribbled on a card. We see no gleaners hereabout, yet these workers seem to share that same sense of urgency. 'Tis possible they know something of the Forum's plans and their underlying motives. Worth looking into, wouldn't you say? See what you can coax out of the workers. The rest of us will do the same, or cast about for useful clues. Oh, hello there. We weren't expecting visitors. Not with use of the lift being restricted. How did you make it down here anyway? A mineshaft, you say? Well, you're much hardier than soul than I. Under normal circumstances, I would work to tenacity with a guided tour of the fields, but I'm afraid the Forum has us feeling orderless a mom long. Massive yet detailed requests, literal wagon loads of crop samples, and hardly any time to put them together. When I first heard this grand reorganization, I assumed that we would be shuffling around old stock and make room for the new. Then came the orders for ridiculous quantities of seeds we've already thoroughly researched. Passing strange, eh? I pressed for an explanation and was met with a vague assurance that all would be revealed in due course. Not the most satisfying answer. What crops are we raising? Well, as you can see, this one is a variety of grape. Only needs a good source of sunlight to grow, and the conditions here are nothing short of perfect. Hardly surprising, given that it's native to the particular locale and very place upon which Labyrinthos was modeled, a region in the south of Ilsabard. It boasts remarkable habitat diversity, allowing a myriad of flora and fauna to thrive. Chilly peaks in the north give way to swaths of temperate plains, which in turn transition to hot, humid coastline. With such bountiful territory, contested as you might expect, Used to be called Corvos before the Imperial renamed it Locus Ammonius. So Graha would like these grapes, maybe. I need to take some grapes for Graha! The forums saw it not as a prize, however, but as researcher's ideal environment. One whose climate we strove to recreate within the confines of Labyrinthos. It's since provided a rich foundation for countless experiments in cultivation. Let me steal some of these grapes for my boyfriend. Do I have ought to be taken down below? More than I can carry, and then some. Most of the stock is sent via the cargo lift, but some has been embarked for aerial transport. Hence the stack of crates atop the hill over there. Gods. Hauling the lot up to that slope was a job and a half. The labels on these crates tell the story of their contents. Bundles of common seeds and saplings accompanied by sheaves of reports. Hello, shiny flower. I've seen a single screenshot of these flowers or somewhere. I assume it was a launch trailer, maybe.
Hard to look away, isn't it?
Artbird? Oh,
But they're
God,
more than pretty flowers. Heart blooms are attuned to ambient emotion.
God, I thought it was Artbird for a second.
You don't seem convinced, but believe me, it's true. This ashen grey, for instance, it mirrors the anxiety and urgency of those working nearby as they rush to fulfill sudden orders. Intense feelings like those spur the petals to change colour. Bright glowing hues in the presence of joy. Dark subdued shades for frustration or despair.
Mood flowers.
Yet even with the collected wisdom of Sharlayan at our disposal, we've yet to identify the underlying principle of this empathic effect. And there are other mysteries besides. Although the flower is extraordinarily long-lived, its low reproductive rate has made it difficult to find younger populations growing in the wild. With too few sightings to map its distribution, and no closely related species to track, we've been unable to pinpoint its land of origin.
Okay. This is a leftover from the Scions. Like, this comes from that civilization. It's a thing that survived. This is a construct, which is why it's so magically bullshit.
To further complicate matters, every culture, even dimly aware of its existence, has given it a different name and mythos. Our attempts to study it via the historical record have been an exercise in frustration. As an avid botanist myself, I should one day like to unravel the Heartbloom's secrets. But I'm afraid other duties must take precedence. I will leave you to your thoughts.
Thank you for the flower trivia, kind Rogadin man.
Have you learned aught of interest?
Check out this cool flower.
A flower that reacts to one's feelings? Strange. I must say, I have never heard of such a thing.
This is all very fascinating. But as it stands, we fail to gain any significant insight into the Forum's undertaking.
Indeed. While there is certainly enough activity to support Erenville's supposition that a priority has been placed on improving food production, unfortunately for our investigation, these workers were never informed as to how their duties serve the master plan.
If only we could interrogate the Forum members directly. Isn't that the entrance to the Archaeon?
Is that Erenville again? It is.
Look, there. I think that's Erenville.
A little difficult to tell from here, but I think you're right. He did say he was coming down to make his report.
Erenville receives his orders from the Forum. Would it not follow, then, that the superior to whom he reports is a Forum member? Or at least a close associate?
It's time for kidnapping.
You mean to eavesdrop on their conversation? What of the risks?
Ours alone to bear. We won't interfere with Erenville's work, nor will he be implicated as an accomplice. If you're not comfortable taking part, I can do this alone.
Nay. I said myself that I wished to know Father's intentions. And no answers will be forthcoming should we simply ask nicely.
We can apologize later, should it come to it. Right now, we need every crumb of information we can get our hands on. Consequences be damned.
It might be best if you came along as well. In fact, we should all...
Trial?
Cryo?
Oh, yes, that certainly sounds like a plan.
I'm glad you agree.
Quickly! Erenville is on the move. We need to get closer before we lose him.
How much longer are we going to brush Kryle's condition under the rug?
Almost. I can almost reach you.
Are you trying to talk to Hydaelyn? Forgive me, my attention has been elsewhere. We were following Erenville, weren't we? It feels wrong to spy on Erenville, helpful as he's been. But what other choice do we have? Let's get after him already. We've waited too long as it is. Is Kryl still feeling unwell? Never seen her so distracted. Keep an eye on her, but keep moving too. We cannot let our quarry slip away. She's still looking at those goddamn flowers. Erenville was headed westwards along the path outside the Archaeon. Come, we can still catch him. I should like to go attack that Aetheryte real quick. Oh. I really thought I could go through that. So, well, I guess I won't be getting that right now, will I, boy? Look at me trying to be ahead of the curve. The curve strikes back. We've fallen too far behind. This damned mist won't help matters. I can still hear it. I think she's hearing the keening. It seems Y'shtola wishes to have a word with us. Hold a moment. I have an idea. If memory serves, that colossal wall-like structure is Logistic in Beta, one of Labyrinth's climate control centers. It should have its own lifts, with which one could access the upper and lower tiers. If I were an agent of the Forum, I would make a convenient meeting place. It would make a convenient meeting place. But even if we happen to find Erenville in the company of said agent, we cannot expect them to reveal issues of importance as we nonchalantly stroll past. Nay, we shall have to remain undetected. If only Graha and his vanish spell were here. Oh, but there are other ways of turning invisible. Hippity hoppity, my little toads. Are you serious? Alpha Toad. Alatoad. An Alizé Levitoad? I don't know. Couldn't come up with one for Alizé. Unaccustomed to transfiguration. Worry not, it will wear off in passage of time. I suggest you and your green companions hop along up with Erenville. Should you feel the magic's fading, return to me and I will refresh the enchantment. And what am I to do in the meantime? Wait here with me. In your current state of mind, you'd be as likely to leap into the jaws of a predator as you would learn anything of note. Which reminds me, where of creatures' whereabouts in that form, you are essentially defenseless. You have changed into a toad. You must remain transfigured in order to progress the quest objectives. You will return from your transfigured status if you move too far away. Look, dear map. Ribbit, ribbit? Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. I was right when I said Alpha Toad. Alpha Toad and Alatoad are now accompanying you. Keep them at your side in order to... Oh my god. This is the content I subscribed for. Away, Toad Gang! Don't worry. Harshafont will protect us. I cannot pass up this opportunity. I've got to take a screenshot here. I've got 28 minutes. Oh, fuck. No! Oh, we made it. Okay. This is fucking amazing.
I trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Sharlayan scholars and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Sharlayan was charged with a momentous duty. And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge. I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
We won't let you stay here, but it's for the greatest good.
Then I will do your bidding. For now. But unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the Forum.
Am I getting an echo as a frog? Oh, it's just heartbeat.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full.
Perceptive. Dude just rolled a fucking nat 20, that's what happened.
While I do have my reservations about the Forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
God's bless that man. Am I still in a battle? Our toad performances need work, apparently. I'll have to pay more attention the next time I see one. I suppose we should have known a gleaner who specializes in animal procurement would not be so easily deceived, yet he seemed inclined to put his trust in the same. More importantly, perhaps, we've discovered a new piece of the puzzle, this momentous duty the Forum agent mentioned. Sharlayan has been called into action, and the Telephoroid's declaration was the catalyst. Whatever charge it is they hope to fulfill, they deem it sufficient import to disrupt Labyrinthos. Not to mention ignore Euzia's request for aid. What duty could warrant a direct involvement of the Forum and the commitment of all of its resources? Judging by what we heard, none of the Gleaners were offered any kind of explanation. At this point, it seems abundantly clear that we'll learn nothing new by pressing them further. We should head back to Y'shtola and Kryl for a moment, see what they think of this. Welcome back. I trust you found Erenville then. Interesting. I had a feeling you would learn something important, even if that something was simply a confirmation that no one knows much of anything. We should share this with Kryl. Then discuss how we'd like to proceed. Where the fuck is Kryl? Assuming we find her back at the farm, she was still behaving oddly, so I bade her return and rest there. Perhaps not the best decision in hindsight. Would you mind checking near those flowers she was so entranced by? The rest of us can survey the more distant areas, just in case you decided to wander. Wow, what are you doing? Whoa.
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting.
Okay.
She said you would need it for the journey ahead.
You're legit talking to Hydaelyn, aren't you?
Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
I don't like this. I don't like this one bit.
Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower, walk free, for you are free to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first. So weak and tenuous it was. Once I took hold of that wispy thread. Imagine my surprise to discover it was Hydaelyn herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts. That unusual flower. Yes, we are definitely making progress.
You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong!
Oh, God. Oh, boy.
Master Fortuno? What business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archaeon custodian. A group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge. But the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What then is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Grah! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
I'm kind of proud of him that he just went snooping on his own.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
This should be fucking good. Grahatia, you have been found guilty of catboy crimes.
Forgive me. I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
That's our boy.
Forum will come to order. This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings.
Is that Crow with her hood
Portia,
down?
would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work.
It is?
They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
In other words, shut the fuck up.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Where's my hat? They took my hat.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policy-making process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
Specific. What happened back then?
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea.
Aha.
You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archaeon. If you had seen...
Hello? Someone fucking force choking him? What's going on?
Yes. We are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission, not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall. until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno, I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the Studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these Scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? No. If we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
Order! We will have order! Master Monteshane raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we enforce the following measures. Until further notice, the students of Baldesion are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlayan. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, Scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
Well, that wasn't exactly unanimous. What did your catboy eyes see? Tell me your secrets. I apologize for the trouble I've caused you. I was pondering the significance of what I had just read as I left the restricted section and knocked over a security amendment on my way out. I promise to be more vigilant next time. God, Seth Scarlark. Monteshane is absolutely low. I absolutely loathe arguing in circles. You may encounter some raised eyebrows, but do continue to claim students as your sponsor, whosoever the need arises. I believe in the guiding principles of the Scions, and I know my grandfather would have as well. My father may be right, that I am still groping in the dark for answers. But I needed him to know that I would never stop searching. I owe that much to Arnvald, and myself. Well, at least we've been allowed to remain in the city, and our endless investigations have not been in vain. We now know that this mysterious duty of theirs began with whatever the Forum discovered in the ethereal sea. With our freedom so sorely curtailed, however, we will struggle to learn aught more of substance here in Sharlayan. The overall picture has grown clearer, yes, but that's in spite of the Forums being so maddeningly vague about this duty of theirs. Why are they so reluctant to explain their actions in plain words? Survival, come what may, is my father's work, so vital that it takes precedence over his own family. Alphino? Alize? It is you! Is it Mama Levier? Is that Mama Levier? When I heard you'd been dragged before the Forum, I came as swiftly as I could. I'm so very glad to see you. So they allowed you to stay. Yay! Mother Levier, please be cool. They definitely take after their mother. Aemilian Levier, at your service. And you fine people must be the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. How lovely it is to finally meet you. Mother, please. We do not wish to make things difficult for you. If word reaches Father that you were here... Oh, bother that. Am I to be chastised for speaking with my own children? I am well aware that you and Master Fortuno are not on the best of terms at the moment, but I've been absolutely desperate to see my darlings again. You will come by the house, won't you? I have gifts waiting. The timing couldn't be better. As matter stands, we shan't be going anywhere until we discuss matters with Thancred's group and reconsider our options. Go, visit your home. We will be back at the Annex when you are ready to rejoin us. I'm not sure we... Alla, what do you think? Alla! The Alla Morn! What a splendid day this has turned out to be. Champion of Eorzea, I insist that you join us. Sure. But we must be quick about it. Not for my own benefit, but should my husband return and find you enjoying our hospitality, the servants will be made to suffer for the consequences. Alla, if you would be so kind as to escort my children to the estate. And then she was gone, and with her an opportunity to protest. Indeed, the matter is settled. Enjoy yourselves, you three. I can tell you what All is feeling right now. He's considered Alphino and Alize his little brother and sister for so long, it feels weird. It feels so weird to meet actual members of their family. I'm sure Alphino thinks nothing of it. He invited classmates over all the time, but I wasn't the most... It was a different time for me, alright? I apologize. My mother is not one to take no for an answer. Still, I am glad, relieved even, to see her in such high spirits. What say you, Allah? Though it seems we shall have little enough time to enjoy it, will you accompany us on our visit home? Fine, if we're going, let's get it over with. Be sure to stay in the entrance hall. No peeking into our private chambers. Thank you very much. Why ever not? Your room was always perfectly neat and tidy. Everyone has things they'd rather keep to themselves, don't they? Cherished mementos you couldn't bring yourself to throw away. Childhood toys. I mean, never mind. Levier Estate is that way. Straight down the stairs, come on. After all we've been through together, 'tis strange to be here with you now. Come full circle and see how much has changed. Levier Estate is in the northern part of Journey's End, just down the stairs from the Rustra. Oh, and please don't make a fuss when we get there. It's only a house. It's a big look at it! Alright, you two. When Alice and I were little, this bridge was as far as we were permitted to wander alone. I say alone, but my mother or a servant was always somewhere nearby, keeping a watchful eye. And now look at us, traveling to different continents, different worlds even. As children, Alphino and I would often wait here for our father to come home from work. It must have been a day when his meetings ran long, because I remember growing restless and leaning out over the railing to watch the water rush by. Father, of course, arrived at that exact moment, came pounding down the path in a panic, crying out my name. Oh, I wonder if Alphino and Alize are going to get their new outfits here. Take that screenshot. There we go. I'm totally going in their rooms. I'm going to hunt down their rooms. I need to see. And here you are at last. Please, do come in. I recognize him. Alize was with that Rogadin.
My lady.
An ARR. Everyone all knows is fucking royalty. Alphino, Alize, Graha, Eri.
What? What are you gawping at?
Right now, all is thinking, I'm gonna get used to my friends and family being rich one day. Holland's grandeur, Science headquarters must seem squalid. Indeed.
I'll have you know I'm quite fond of the Rising Stones.
Lord Fortuneau is not to hear of this visit. And I should also like the children to have their gifts, ere my husband makes his return.
As you wish, my lady.
But yeah, I remember that Rogadin.
Master Alphino, Mistress Alice, if you would accompany me upstairs.
We shan't be long.
The twins have been sending letters home from time to time, recounting their latest adventures. I am sure they withhold certain details, of course, if only to keep worrying. Yet a mother worries all the same. In the early days especially, I tried to support them as best I could, sending the Scions coin and other such donations. Fortunately, they have found the strength to overcome adversity time and time again. Their words grow more confident with every letter, their depictions more vivid. The triumphs and defeats, the joys and sorrows. It is clear that they have come to find value in every experience. But of those they treasure most, it would seem that meeting you might be the most impactful. Why, since that fateful day, I do believe there has not been a single missive in which you were not mentioned by name. "'Tis plain they care for you, and I am glad they have such a steadfast companion watching over them. Under normal circumstances, I would offer you tea, but alas, these are anything but. In any event, why don't you keep me company whilst we await my children's return? Perhaps you might regale me with a tale or two of your exploits."
Oh, millions. Have you ever heard of the first? Yeah!
Gifts. I wasn't sure what to expect. Mother,
Oh, look how well it fits you. And the style is to your liking?
It's perfect. Exactly what I would have chosen. But please, tell me you had something different made for Alphino.
Oh my god. Look at her.
Naturally. You are hardly little children anymore. And while I shall miss dressing you in those precious matching outfits, I must respect the individuals you have grown to become. See for yourself.
And here he comes.
Thank you for the splendid clothes, Mother. Stylish, comfortable, and eminently practical.
Oh my god. He's grown up so much. Oh, my little brother and sister. I'm gonna fucking cry.
I am so glad you like them. They are, however, missing one final touch.
If you would allow me, Master Alphino.
Become Gundam.
Wait. Are these...
A sage's tools of the trade. They belonged to your father. Though he may as well be chained to his desk these days, as a student he was often called upon to venture into the field. He wielded those armaments, both to heal and to harm in no few battles. None so fierce as those you two have braved, perhaps, but battles nonetheless. Thus did I pull them out of storage, to show you that he was not always the man who stands in vehement opposition to you now.
I didn't expect those to be family heirlooms. I know the lore book said that Fortuna was a
because
sage.
it would be a terrible waste of ridiculously expensive House Leveilleur commissioned artistry.
I love her. Thank the gods. Jobstone!
I am told these devices are quite difficult to master. But someone of your extensive experience should soon have them darting about with grace and aplomb. May the wisdom in that crystal serve you well. And please, try to find common ground with your father, that you might come and go without need for this awful subterfuge.
We will, Mother. I promise.
My final gifts to you, before you run off, are an observation and a suggestion. Firstly, Fortuno has ever been a serious man, but it was only after you were born that he truly lost himself in his work. I may not know the Forum's inner workings, but I know your father's. The timing of that change in him holds some significance. Secondly, do not seek to best your father with words. Far better that you simply show him. Let him discover the merit of your actions, after they cannot be undone.
Oh, Mother.
We shall take your wisdom to heart. Thank you again for these gifts, and farewell for now.
Safe travels, my children. Eat well, stay warm, and keep your friends close.
Olive would totally be trying desperately not to cry in that moment. Just realizing how much they've grown up. There we go. Screenshot. And that was that. Only the gods know when we'll be back again. Thank you for indulging Mother's requests. I can see it meant a lot to her, and I shall refrain from inquiring as to the content of your private conversation. Our visit was all too brief for now. However, it will have to suffice, as will these tokens of home that we carry with us. These gifts to help us remember who we are and whence we came. But enough sentimentality. Let us return to the annex and rejoin our companions. Oh yeah, I'll catch up. Be right there. Upstairs. I know it's upstairs somewhere. Which one? Okay. Wait, these rooms aren't real rooms. No. None of these real. Wow, window you can actually see. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, hold on. Can I make that jump? I don't know, it's a bit of a long stretch. What secrets do you hold? Maybe we'll have better luck with detonants. No. Ah, damn it. Seeing how the young lord and lady of the house have grown, it nearly moves me to tears. I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. Alright. No snooping about their rooms for now. Back to the annex. Oh, you guys are still here. Look at them. So proud of them. Don't think for a moment that I'm jealous of Alphino's new weapons. They are far more suited to him than me. We left for Eorzea in matching outfits, but our styles, both fashion and fighting, have long since diverged. If anything, I'm proud of the differences between us. That's right. If I intend to master these sage armaments, that will mean learning to imbue them with the same ether that I poured into moonstone and obsidian. It is difficult to grasp the essence of such an entity, for me. It will help to think of the newless as allies in battle. Simply a new form of energy which went into manifesting my carbuncle commandments. I'm glad he at least mentioned them before they fall to the wayside. For us to feel responsible for this schism in House Levier would be pure hubris. After all, we are merely on the outskirts of what is essentially a family affair. And yet, neither can we claim the indifference of strangers. To hear their mother welcome them so warmly was a joy and a relief. I'm curious as I am to learn the truth of this duty. I wonder what else the Forum is hiding, a calamitous secret whose origin lies in the ethereal sea. Duplicity aside, however, I do not believe Master Fortuno means us ill. Even the harsh words he had for his children stemmed not from anger, I think but desperation. Enjoyed your time with the Leviers, I hope? I would ask how the twins fared, but their new outfits tell the tale. I only hope we can help them to reconcile with their father, that they might return home one day with their heads held high. In the meantime, we edge ever closer to the secret of the Forum strives to hide, and the flower bequeathed you by Hydaelyn is sure to guide us going forward. I'm confident that once you've scouted out the situation in Thavnair, we'll be well equipped to plot our next move. Alright. Well, that seems like a decent place to take a break before we start this next major quest point.